Carlos Carrasco was absolutely brilliant on Thursday, pitching in the fourth game of the Mets series against the Giants. They take 3 of 4 to win that series against a great team is an incredible sign for this Mets team early on. I'll be talking about that game and that series on today's show, but also I want to spotlight Eduardo Escobar. He has arguably been the most valuable Met this season, and he's definitely the Met that is not getting nearly enough coverage. So we're going to spend time talking about him and also preview what lies ahead this weekend when the Mets will once again take on the Arizona Diamondbacks.
You are Locked On Mets, your daily New York Mets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all you amazing Mets fans. You're watching Locked On Mets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Ryan Finkelstein. If you want to find any of my work, follow me on Twitter at Finkelstein Ryan. You can also find some of my writing at justbaseball.com, where I work as the managing editor. And this week at justbaseball.com, I wrote an article about why Francisco Lindor is playing like the best shortstop in baseball right now. And what does he do again in the first inning? Hits a home run. Upper tank, at least it felt like that. I don't even remember exactly where that ball landed in right field, but there's nothing more majestic than a left-handed power hitter in that ballpark at Citi Field, just turning on one and driving it down the right field line. And we saw that from Lindor in this spot. He was DHing today, so he got off his legs a bit. Louis Guillorme gets the start at shortstop, and Lindor crushes that one with an exit velo of 102.1 miles per hour, 377 feet. But the story of the day is Carlos Carrasco. And Carlos Carrasco does give up a run early in that game. The Giants tie it in the second. It was one of those giant rallies. A guy gets hit in the foot, a couple of singles get through, and suddenly you're wondering, all right, is this going to be Carrasco's version of the Chris Bassett start that we saw the night before? But look, what does he do from there? Carrasco buckles down and retires 18 straight batters. Would have been 19 if not for an error by Louis Guillorme. It was a tough play by Guillorme, I will say, in that eighth inning, where he does a great job on the backhand, just doesn't get a good throw on it. It's okay, because on the next batter, Carrasco induces a double play ball and erases that runner. So 20 up, 20 down from that point when he gave up the run in the second inning. He was sensational. He really was. Joely Rodriguez got the last out of that inning because Carlos Carrasco ends up giving up a home run to Yastrzemski. One of those situations where he's just trying to get you through the eighth. Pitch counts low, falls behind 3-0 to Yastrzemski. You might as well throw strikes. Yastrzemski gets one he can handle. Very similar to Lindor home run. Turns on one from the left side, hits it out to right field. And that would be the day for Carrasco as Joely Rodriguez came in to get out Brandon Belt. Edwin Diaz comes on for the save, and the Mets were able to cruise to a victory because they scored runs all the way throughout this game. Really were threatening a lot against Anthony DeSclafani. He's a really good pitcher, but the Mets managed to get 10 hits against the Giants in this game. Once again, we see one of these games where you look up and down the lineup and everybody did something. Everyone except Travis Jankowski and Tomas Nido from the starting lineup gets a hit. In the second inning, you had Eduardo Escobar hit a home run, so his first of the season, and we're going to spend a lot of time on Escobar today in the next segment. But from there, Mark Canha gets a hit. Then Jankowski comes up. So he didn't contribute if you look at hits or walks or anything like that, but he does score a run and he does utilize his speed. Hits a ground ball. Canha is out at second, but Jankowski beats the throw at first. That's what he can do for you. And now with that speed, the Mets play hit and run with Louis Guillorme. A little bit of Buck Showalter, old school managing. Ground ball, perfect through the hole. First to third. You can't execute a hit and run better. This is exactly what you should be doing when you have Guillorme up, leveraging his great bat-to-ball skills. That's what he's good at, and this allows you to put a runner at third base and Tomas Nido at the plate. Gets the job done. First pitch swinging, sacrifice fly. Mets play some small ball, and right there, they were up 3-1, and that's all they really needed throughout this game, although they did score a couple of more in the third. You had Francisco Lindor once again come through, a 2-hit day, gets a base hit. Jeff McNeil barely missed a home run. It looked like he got all of it, and he certainly thought he did because you could see, his lips after that home run hit off the top of the wall, or that would be home run hit off the top of the wall for a double, you could read his lips of F me, man. Really frustrating for him that he didn't get that one out, but he was able to come around and score. The Mets had a couple of batters get out, but Mark Hanna came up again and he delivered. I believe that was first pitch hitting as well. Laces one into left field, scores both Lindor and McNeil, and that gave the Mets the eventual 5-2 victory. As of course I already mentioned, Carrasco gave up that late home run, but he's just been incredible this season for this Mets team. A 1.47 ERA for Carlos Carrasco through three starts. I'm getting excited. All right. I'm getting carried away. My tongue is moving faster than my lips can handle here. But you just look at what this guy has done this season. And again, I hate to just say when I'm right sometimes, but I feel like I was pretty loud about Carlos Carrasco, and I was one of his, staunchest defenders last year when he was getting lit up, said he didn't look right going into the offseason, saying, hey, the Mets don't anybody. He's a great number 3 for you, even if you don't make a trade and get a Chris Bassett. When they did get Chris Bassett, it just allowed that rotation to be that much deeper to absorb an injury like Jacob deGrom going down early this year. You have 1 through 3 right now, 3 veterans who have seen it all, done it all in Scherzer, Bassett, and Carrasco. And as I've mentioned already, if you don't get deGrom back until August, it would be fine. Hopefully that won't be the case. But the bottom line is this Mets team can get by for a really long time with the veteran pitching they're getting. And this was a veteran start, getting deep in that game, pitching to contact at times. When Carrasco's on, for some reason, the adjective paint just gets in my head more than any other pitcher on the Mets right now. He's just so precise with all the different pitches he's working in. The changeup is nasty. You see the slider is just so hard to hit. He throws those pitches out of the zone and gets whiffs when he needs it. He's dotting the corners at times. He has hitters flat-footed or he's able to hit him backdoor and get strikes. The guy has just been sensational. He really has. He's been everything you could have asked for when you made that trade. 20 strikeouts right now through 17 2/3, only 2 walks. Just competent, quality veteran starting pitching, and it's going to take the Mets very far this year. Speaking of a veteran impact, though, Eduardo Escobar deserves some pub. He has been the most valuable Met this season based on F4. No one's talking about him, so I'm going to do that in just a minute. But first, I want to tell you about the best tasting protein bar ever, which, of course, is Built Bar. Built Bars come low in calories, low in sugar. They are low in fat, but they're high in protein and high in fiber. They also have the delicious puffs, which are the first ever protein-infused marshmallows. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. They're a treat that comes covered in 100% real chocolate, and they have incredible flavors of the puffs like the cinnamon churro, the coconut marshmallow, and the banana cream pie. All so good. They also have limited time flavors of Built Bars that are coming out all the time. So check their site often at built.com and see what's new. And when you're there, use the promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your next order. Again, that's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. Since 2017, Eduardo Escobar is 10th among all first basemen in home runs hit at 111. That's more home runs than Justin Turner, Alex Bregman, Chris Bryant, and Josh Donaldson. He has been a premier offensive third baseman for some time, and really all of his value has been derived from the home run ball. But he went into the game today hitting .317, a .462 on base, .537 slugging, a .193 WRC plus. And again, WRC plus is weighted runs created plus, measuring hitters based on a league average of 100. So at 193, he has been 93% better than your league average hitter, the 4th best mark among third basemen, with guys ahead of him like Jose Ramirez, who's having just an unbelievable season. But you look at Escobar, and he's going to slide back down to earth. He's not going to hit 320 with a .460 on base percentage and a .540 slugging percentage all season. It's not going to happen. But you see his batting average with balls hit and put in play right now. He's hitting the ball really hard, but that's not sustainable in that his BABIP is .419, the highest among third basemen. That tells you that at a certain point, his luck's going to turn a bit, and he's going to start to see that average dip a little bit more. But the thing that's more encouraging to me is he's walking more than any third baseman in baseball at 21.2%. Again, that's not sustainable. He's not going to walk in 20% of his plate appearances this year. For his career, he's a 7% walk rate guy. Last year, a little over 8%. But if you look at what he's doing this year, let's just say he splits the difference there between 21 and 8, and he falls somewhere closer to the 15% range. He is going to really turn himself into one of the best offensive third basemen in baseball. Not that he wasn't already there, but when you add the on base threat, it just changes his game entirely. This is a career 257 hitter, last year 253. Career 311 on base, 314 last year. The reason the Mets got Eduardo Escobar is because he is consistent. But if you add some walks to his game, last year he walked 49 times in 599 plate appearances. That's 8.1%. Let's just say you get that to 90 walks. So an additional 41 walks in those 600 plate appearances. And again, he's off to a fast start to achieving that right now. That would take him from a 314 on base percentage to a 359 on base percentage. If he's hitting north of 25 home runs, he's getting on base at a 350 clip. That is the best third baseman the Mets have had since David Wright. That's how good that would be if he can not even maintain what he's doing, but find a middle ground between what he's doing now and what he's done throughout his career. If he just walks more, it's going to really help him. It also helps him get better pitches to drive because in these spots, he's been a double machine this year. If he's very selective, he gets in better hitters counts, and then they're going to have to pitch to him because even as hot as he can be, Eduardo Escobar is a hitter in this Mets lineup that you're going to challenge because of who might be hitting behind him and who's hitting in front of him. He's one of those guys that's going to come up with runners on. When the Mets maybe have Pete Alonso come up, teams are going to be pitching around Alonso to get to Escobar if he's hitting behind him. And right now, he is the type of hitter that can provide really good protection for Pete in the lineup. So what he has done this year so far has been amazing. Coming into the day, his F4 was 1. He hits a home run. He draws a walk. That's only going to go up a little bit more. But that puts him ahead of every other player on the Mets, even Lindor heading into the day. So really impressive stuff from Eduardo Escobar. He's looked sharp as all hell at third base as well. Really solid defensively, a lot better than I expected. I look at him and Jonathan Villar, and I think Villar is the player that could maybe make more of the spectacular plays with his athleticism, but Escobar is going to make every routine play. His throws are consistently strong. He's a great leader. You see him and Francisco Lindor hugging after Escobar's home run. You can just tell he's already becoming a beloved member of that clubhouse. This Mets team is a lot better because of veterans that they added like Escobar and Mark Canha, who had a big day today as well. And I think that's going to be a huge story throughout the season, watching these guys come through in big spots. It's very reminiscent of the 2015 Mets when you got Jose Uribe and Kelly Johnson, and just having competent, veteran players was able to take you to another level. And those guys weren't even that good compared to a Mark Canha and an Eduardo Escobar this year. So the Mets really seemed to hit the jackpot on both of those signings. And that's not even mentioning Starling Marte and the dynamic he's added to this team. With all of those pieces in place, you should roll a team like the Diamondbacks this weekend, and that's what we're going to talk about next. I will preview that series that lies ahead. But before we get to that, if you're celebrating the special women in your life, BlueNile.com can help you easily navigate thousands of fine jewelry options at every price point. Whether she prefers a statement piece or an everyday subtle elegance, BlueNile.com has fine jewelry options for every mom. So shop high quality, classic diamond earrings, elegant tennis bracelets, or gemstone pendant necklaces at BlueNile.com this Mother's Day. Give your mom something special she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Mets listeners get $50 off $500. This podcast exclusive is only good through Mother's Day. Use our promo code Locked On. Again, that's promo code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. So shop stress-free and find your forever peace by going to BlueNile.com today. BetOnline is your number one source for all of your betting stats and sports info. Find out the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So I am recording this podcast today at 4 o'clock, right when the Diamondbacks are about to begin their final game in their series against the Nationals. They are looking for a split. They lost 2 of their first 3. I believe they got swept in that doubleheader to start their series. So we will see what the Diamondbacks look like coming in after that series. But seeing the Nationals play them so tough, it once again reiterates that this is not a good team, and the Mets should be able to bare minimum win 2 of 3. The great thing is because they took 3 of 4 from the Giants, you're sitting pretty this week, because if you do take 2 of 3, that is once again a nice solid 5-2 week for your New York Mets, where they're going to continue to keep that lead in this division. And I would not be surprised if they swept a team like a Diamondbacks this weekend and have themselves a great week. They then play a much tougher team next week in the Cardinals. So it will be interesting to see how they fare this weekend to stack up games before they go into another tough test. But considering what they just did in that measuring stick series against the Giants, you got to feel great about their chances. It is also important to note that Max Scherzer will not start this series. They could have let him go on Sunday, but they're giving him an extra day and having Tyler McGill start that game. Both of them obviously pitched on the same day in that doubleheader this week. This allows Scherzer, though, to face off against a much tougher Cardinals lineup. Now, game 1 of the series between the Mets and the Diamondbacks will be David Peterson versus Zach Gallen. Gallen was very good against the Mets. The one game they actually beat them in that series last week was when Gallen was on the mound, giving them 4 shutout innings before he turned it over to the bullpen. The Mets hopefully can get a little bit better contact off Gallen. It's not like he is this elite pitcher, but he is a pitcher that, if on, can make things very difficult for you. David Peterson did a great job against the Diamondbacks in the rubber match game of that last series, carved them up with 7 strikeouts. If he can go out and do that again, last time he went 4 1/3, the Mets aren't really pushing him past 2 times through the lineup, but if he can at least be stellar in those first 2 times through, he has some other guys that could get some big innings. Trevor Williams likely is either going to piggyback Peterson or maybe be the spot starter on Saturday. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic to watch play out in that game on Friday night. But this is a Mets team that has a bullpen that's much fresher than they probably should be, considering the series they just went through. Every single starter on the Mets went 6 in that series. McGill, Scherzer, Bassett, Carrasco almost going 8. So that has really helped keep this bullpen fresh. And if they do have to go bullpen game Saturday with Trevor Williams as the starter, I think they can survive that. They also could go Mike Montgomery, though, because he's due to start on Friday in Syracuse. He's made 3 starts this year, has a 3.0 ERA, 12 strikeouts in 12 innings pitched, just 1 walk. He's an option. He's not on the 40, so they'd have to figure out something there, but he could be called up for the spot start. I'd imagine they're going to scratch him either way on Friday and maybe see how Peterson plays out. Let's just say Peterson has a low pitch count and he gets you through 6 and you don't even have to touch Williams. Maybe the Mets just decide not worth clearing up a spot in the 40. We'll just let Trevor Williams maybe get you through 3 or 4 on Saturday and trust the bullpen to handle the rest. Chasen Shreve is another guy that can get multiple innings if he doesn't have to pitch on Friday. So I think that's going to be a decision that's made after the game on Friday night. Then you got Sunday, Tyler McGill versus Madison Bumgarner. Bumgarner has not gone deeper than the 5th inning this year, but he also has not allowed more than 1 earned run in any of his 3 starts. So he's been pretty crisp, and the Mets have not been great against left-handed pitching. Eduardo Escobar is the only Mets regular who has an OPS over 800 against lefties this year. Jankowski and Dom technically do as well, but that's only in 4 plate appearances each. So I wonder what the Mets do there. JD Davis has yet to really get it going against lefties, but he has drawn a couple of walks. I think his on-base percentage is .455, just hasn't driven the baseball yet. That's going to be his 1 start this weekend, you would imagine. We'll see if Dominic Smith maybe gets the start because of his reverse splits. I'd rather see him in the lineup against a lefty instead of somebody like Robinson Cano, maybe even Jeff McNeil. So we'll see exactly how the Mets decide to mix things up. And then as I already mentioned, Scherzer will get that extra day off and will be pitching on Monday. All right, it's a lot of information, but that's going to be all for this edition of Locked On Mets to close out the week. As you know, let's just say the Mets have a walk-off on Friday night sometimes. I might come on over the weekend, so make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and following the podcast feeds so you don't miss any of your Locked On Mets content. Follow me on Twitter at Finkelstein Ryan. Follow the show at Locked On Mets. Thank you for making Locked On Mets your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB hosted by Paul Francis Sullivan. Locked on MLB is where you want to go to learn about everything going on in Major League Baseball. You can follow Locked on MLB wherever you get podcasts.